Hey there, in this video, you will learn a secret that I guarantee will help you win your restraining order hearing. Most people don't know this secret. They walk into their hearings, they lose, and then it's too late. Don't let that be you. My name is Veronica. I am a criminal defense and restraining order hearing attorney here in California, and I help people put their cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. I'm also very proud to say that I'm the creator of a course called Defeat the DVRO, in which I teach you, if you're defending against one of these things, how to win from A to Z. I teach you everything that you need to know to represent yourself. Now, as part of that, I have a free first class, which you can find down below. There's a link in the description box. And look, you're already here, you're watching videos, you're trying to learn this stuff. I encourage you to go ahead and take your free first class. You have literally nothing to lose. Now, this video is part of a series that I am publishing this week on the top 3 things that you're going to need to know if you want to represent yourself at a restraining order hearing and win. Secret number 1 is learn what the judge is looking for. This is important because if you know what the judge is going to be looking for, then you can hand it to the judge on a silver platter. So first, let's talk about what needs to be proven and who needs to prove it at a domestic violence restraining order hearing. The petitioner is the person who filed for the restraining order, the person who's claiming that they were abused. They're the petitioner, and you, the person who's responding to this thing, defending against it, you are the respondent. The burden of proof is on the petitioner. If the petitioner does not present sufficient evidence, then no domestic violence restraining order will be granted. You, the respondent, you don't have to prove anything. Now, how certain does the judge have to be? The petitioner is presenting proof, right? But how much do they need to convince the judge? The standard for domestic violence restraining orders is more likely than not, aka 51%. Now, you may have heard about beyond a reasonable doubt before. That's for criminal cases. It's not the same here. More likely than not, 51%. And what exactly does the petitioner have to prove? The petitioner needs to prove that a restraining order is needed to prevent future domestic violence. So it's not just about whether abuse occurred in the past. It's whether a domestic violence restraining order needs to be issued to prevent domestic violence from occurring in the future. Now, what counts as domestic violence? This is something that a lot of people don't know because a lot of words in court are not used in the same way that we use them in everyday speech. So most people, when they think of domestic violence, they think about hitting, physical injuries. And that is a form of domestic violence, physically hurting or trying to hurt someone intentionally or recklessly. Sure, yes. Sexual assault, yes. But it's also making someone reasonably afraid that he or she or someone else is about to be seriously hurt. So this includes threats or promises to harm someone. Now, this is especially important to know because if there are threats in text messages, for example, maybe something that you didn't really mean that you sent in a moment of anger, I don't want you to underestimate your opponent. You don't want to think, hey, you know what? She's got nothing. She just has some text messages. She's not even saying that I hit her. I've got this in the bag. No, that is a form of domestic violence and you need to be prepared for it. There's also behavior like harassing, stalking, disturbing someone's peace, or destroying someone's personal property. Those can all be considered domestic violence. Now, what is relevance and why is it important? Okay, so only evidence that's considered relevant is allowed in court. So any testimony or other evidence has to be relevant. Stick with me, I'm going to explain what that means. So relevance means, and the test for relevance is, does a piece of evidence or a fact relating to one of the things that needs to be proven, does it make that more likely to be true? So I'll give examples of some irrelevant information. Actually, I just got a YouTube comment that had something that the person writing it thought was really important, but I think is most likely not relevant. They said that the petitioner gave me a disease and I have proof. I have a voicemail of that. Well, you have to ask yourself, does that make it more or less likely that domestic violence occurred such that a domestic violence restraining order is needed to prevent it from happening in the future? If I were the petitioner, maybe I would want to bring that up because I would want to perhaps show, okay, I gave him this disease, I cheated, my bad. But then he got really angry with me and he committed an act of domestic violence, and I'm scared and I need this domestic violence restraining order to help me and prevent that from reoccurring. You see how that works there? But if he tries to bring that up, she gave me a disease, that's not going to be compelling to the judge. So who pays rent? Who broke up with who? If you are the respondent only, like you didn't file a restraining order against her too, which in general I don't necessarily recommend, the other party's abuse of you is not going to necessarily be relevant. Now you may want to try to slip at least some of it in to give the judge some context here, but don't try to take that too far. You may be thinking, hey, look, the petitioner is representing herself. She's not going to know any of this. The judge knows this. And when you start trying to bring up other things, and when the judge has 30 cases that he or she is trying to hear, he or she's going to cut you off probably pretty quickly. You're going to get frustrated, and you may even give up if you're like, what can I even say? Again, if you're considering representing yourself, you're already here watching videos trying to learn. Click on the link down below, get your free class, and I will see you there. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and stay tuned for the other 2 videos on the top things that you need to know if you want to represent yourself.